We start at noon with the president of McDonald's USA saying that customers should still feel confident when ordering from the chain's restaurants. That's despite an E. coli outbreak that's now killed one person and sickened dozens more in Colorado and 9 other states. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Green. Now, all of the victims said that they had eaten a quarter pounder and reported getting sick between September 27th and October 11th. So now the quarter pounder is off the menu in Colorado and those other impacted states. McDonald's has also removed onions from affected restaurants, and distribution is paused while the investigation gets underway. The FDA has identified the onions as the potential source of the outbreak, but we continue to try to track down which company supplies those onions. We do know one company distributes to 3 centers, which then sends the onions out to restaurants. Right now, the big question is which restaurants were the ones that made people sick. We're also working to get that information, as well as the identity and the location of the older man who the CDC says did die here in Colorado. Colorado's Public Health Department is leading the investigation here in our state. It says the beef patties are also under investigation.
So certainly still more work to be done to try and understand how many cases have occurred, where those cases have occurred. So lots of questions, I think, to answer there. CDC is really leading the work with McDonald's to try and understand potential products. There's traceback activities occurring to really understand where products came from, where they were distributed through. So a lot of that work is going to continue to happen.
There's a lot now to learn about E. coli. It is common to get sick 3 days after exposure, but it could take up to 10 days for those symptoms to appear. So doctors recommend monitoring your symptoms, especially if you have eaten at McDonald's. Those symptoms include stomach cramps, nausea, and vomiting. Coming up today on 9 News at 3, we'll be talking with a food safety expert. Temperatures in the metro area in the mid-60s, but our first freeze in the Denver metro area is finally in sight. Now, Lauren Robinson with the 9 News Weather Impact Team is with us now. We've been waiting, Lauren.
Oh man, we have been waiting a long time for fall and even winter to finally arrive, and we do have some rain and snow chances early next week. In the meantime, though, we're going to continue to sit through more sunny, warm conditions. This afternoon's going to be sunny in 70s, so not too bad, while above average for this time of year, still very pleasant for any outdoor activities. Right now, we just made it into 70 degrees at DIA, but other areas across the Front Range and Eastern Plains in the upper 50s to low 60s. We're seeing those 40s, 50s, and 60s in the high country, similar temperatures right now across the western slope. As we take a look at our 24-hour temperature change, we're a bit cooler across most of the eastern half of the state than what we saw by this time yesterday. Most of the Front Range and Eastern Plains anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees cooler than what we saw just 24 hours ago. Outside of those temperatures going up and down a bit, we're pretty dry. Our live radar not going to show a whole lot today because we're going to see sunny skies this afternoon and clear skies this evening. So coming up in my full 7-day forecast, we're going to talk a little bit more about the sunny and mild temperatures ahead this week. We get a minor cool down Friday, but the bigger cool down comes next week when we could see some wintry weather all across Colorado. I'll have those details for you coming up.
Thank you, Lauren. The driver who purposefully crashed into a motorcyclist in a fit of road rage near Castle Pines has learned he'll spend the next decade in prison. Dash cameras captured the entire incident. It happened in August of 2020. Witnesses said the group of motorcycles had passed a pickup truck on I-25. Police say that truck driver, Alberto Mota, chased them before swerving into one of the motorcycles. The rider, Quentin Quidley, did survive but broke a leg, his collarbone, and fractured ribs, as well as his skull and face. Mota claimed the crash happened because of an unsafe lane change. He eventually pleaded guilty to vehicular assault, menacing, and reckless endangerment, and a judge sentenced him to 10 years in prison. 2 people are now wanted after Denver police say they held their roommate hostage and cut off one of his fingers. The victim arrived at a Denver police station last Thursday, saying he just escaped after being held hostage for 2 days. Police had gotten a tip the day before that. They did a welfare check but didn't find him. He said his roommates ran off after they saw officers, and that allowed him to escape. 2 of the men were arrested for kidnapping, assault, and extortion. If you have any information on the 2 others that are wanted, you're asked to call Denver police. After more than 14 hours, all lanes of I-70 near Lyman are now back open. The eastbound lanes have been closed since a little after 9:30 last night after 2 semis crashed and rolled over. One driver died in the crash. We don't know how the other driver is doing. CSP says hazmat crews had to clean up around 20 gallons of fuel that had spilled out onto the highway. The last community meeting about the future of DPS schools was held last night. Now it's a 2-week wait to find out which schools go on the list for possible consolidation or closure. This was the last in a series of 5 meetings. The district is blaming declining enrollment for the looming closures, but DPS Superintendent Alex Marrero said the district got a lot of questions about that, especially with thousands of new migrant students who enrolled last year. Well, he said the number of new arrivals is slowing and isn't enough to offset the decline in enrollment.
So these new arrivals have slowed down this year. So we truly cannot rely on last year, because this year shows that it's not something that we can depend on.
Marrero will present the school board with a list of schools recommended for consolidation in 2 weeks on November 7th. There will be more community meetings to discuss that list before the school board takes the vote the week before Thanksgiving.